The Callisto Protocol is a phenomenal title of which I am unfortunately going to have to tell everyone on PC as well as last gen systems to not buy. Every detail and aspect of this game through my playthrough was incredibly high quality, and unlike the vast majority of AAA titles launching in 2022, I have not run into many bugs, although truly I have not seen a worse optimized game. This shit makes Battlefield 2042 look like God's blessing to the world, unless you're playing on PS5 and Xbox Series X, which is the primary reason as to why I wanted to specify the fact none of my opinions have been swayed into a more positive light regardless of the fact Striking Distance Studios gave me a review copy early, since with
modern gaming,
you can never really tell if a video game is going to be total dog shit before launch or if it's going to be a straight up masterpiece, especially when it comes to titles where the developers set the embargo lift directly on the time of release for their game and ended up giving reviewers merely at most a week to make their videos and our articles before launch day. It's easy to see why people have been so cautious when it comes to the Callisto Protocol, but I am glad to say that most of my time with the game has been positive outside of the performance issues that for me I was mainly able to get rid of by merely playing in a mix of high and medium settings with ray tracing maxed out, although most people's computers will not be able to do that in any way, shape or form. Calling this game a spiritual successor to Dead Space couldn't be a more perfect description. In all honesty, I don't exactly know why I expected anything else from the creator of Dead Space and a game featuring Karen Fukuhara. I mean, what else could you ask for?
Alright, I've gone through your computer's browser history, and you seem to have a type.
In terms of the base gameplay, it's about as immersive as you could possibly get when it comes to a video game. As you explore and survive your way through the multitude of levels contained within Callisto's prison, you will acquire a slowly expanding arsenal of weaponry to combat progressively more mutated as well as terrifying biophage, beginning with a mere shank to assault rifles in the latter areas of the game. No matter what, the mutated humans are sure to kill your ass in beautifully horrific masterclasses of animations that everyone has been extremely excited to experience due to the trailers, and oh boy do they live up to the hype. With mechanics like the mutation which causes enemies to almost completely change and evolve right in front of your very eyes if you do not kill them fast enough, alongside those glorious kill animations, there is no end of horror in this game, nor is there end of good gameplay from the start. The most basic mechanics available feel not only incredibly smooth, but also perfectly designed around each other. Even smaller enemies clearly inspired by the Aliens franchise are able to be killed before they jump out at you with your guns or melee weapons, which is something that's surprisingly uncommon in video games, and there's damn near no guidance for new weapons outside of short introductions aligned to what you would expect to see in real life. The fact there's absolutely nothing similar to a map available paired with essentially zero guidance on where to go at times pairs up to give you a true horror experience that I hope to see mimicked in not only future Resident Evil titles but also future horror titles in general. The added fear you get from a poor sense of direction is something you can only get a sense of from playing the game. The main issue I have with the game's gameplay is the God of War 2018 style loading screens that are rampant throughout the first part of the game, and I can guarantee you they purely exist because the developers stupidly tried to get this to run on last gen systems, when it flat out shouldn't be considered. Now the main reason as to why I have an issue with these loading screens is because they're going to make it damn near impossible to enjoy a second playthrough. If you are only planning to play this once and never again, they are not an issue, but they do absolutely make replayability essentially non-existent for this game. However, on a more positive note, the lack of many RPG-esque features which are commonly shoved into modern games, quite frankly where they don't belong, is fantastic to see, and it truly goes to show just how passionate Glenn and the team at Striking Distance Studios actually are. The immersion offered here is quite frankly unparalleled in the vast majority of horror titles. I never claim video games are near to perfection outside of incredibly rare cases like Elden Ring and the Callisto Protocol. Ironically, both terribly optimized games at launch, who suffer from basically the exact same issue. If you're coming here for a more modern and more evolved version of Dead Space, then you are going to be more than happy with what you get. Because coming from Dead Space, the dodge ability was something I personally was extremely skeptical of, because I initially thought it would make the game way too easy, but after actually playing the game on the highest difficulty, aka the only difficulty you should play on if you want to get the true horror experience, I can safely tell you this is not an easy game, and the dodge ability is implemented perfectly. Even in the early game, these biophage motherfuckers do not go down easily. You will die again and again. And again. However, unlike most games, when you die in the Callisto Protocol, you do not feel disappointed in yourself if you are as fucked up in the head as I am, because goddamn, those kill animations are just
Beautiful.
And don't worry, the brutality you see from the biophage can be replicated by yourself, especially when you take into consideration the extra unlockable abilities allow for an extra layer of brutality you would otherwise not be able to achieve. From my point of view, the game is perfectly balanced progression-wise. The in-universe prison credits are used to purchase weapon upgrades at reforged stations, and the subtle addition of a health meter onto the neck of Jacob is a surprisingly innovative idea that works perfectly. The extra immersiveness the lack of a HUD-based UI gives is something I think a lot of people will take for granted. And the gravity gun, the gravity gauntlet, is easily my favourite weapon to use no matter how far into the game I get. The satisfaction one receives when pinning an ugly-ass biophage against spikes on the wall or chucking them over the edge of a map is unprecedented. Although I have come to find the hard way that you will in fact need to balance your desperate bloodthirsty nature alongside the fact that pinning enemies against the wall prevents you from being able to scavenge from their bodies, leaving you at a slight momentary disadvantage if you do not actively scavenge materials from your surroundings whilst playing. Not to mention the sound design is sublime and beyond best in class here. It cannot be stated enough just how vital good music and overall sound design are to a horror movie, let alone a game. And the sound team at Striking Distance Studios did an incredible job. Whether you're simply walking through the opening segment or getting your neck chewed off, the sound design is unbelievably good. Thanks to consistently well placed jump scares throughout the game, there is not a second during your playthrough where the sound design will not cause you to sit on the edge of your seat. Even the goddamn doors in this game sound horrifying when they open. And even more thanks to the sound design the team has created, the horror elements don't get overly watered down when you lower the difficulty. Although, as I said earlier, you should definitely be playing on the highest difficulty possible for that true horror experience. Hilariously, the reviewer who covered the Callisto Protocol at GameSpot stated that even on the normal mode it's too difficult and slated the game for it. So if you're coming here for an easy walk in the park and anything but a difficult game, this simply isn't for you. Unfortunately, the GameSpot reviewer wasn't able to make that distinction between what's for him and what's actually a negative thing for a game, especially if you want to extend your time with the game, since weirdly it's come under a lot of criticism for being quote unquote too short, despite featuring a campaign length much longer than the vast majority of games in the same genre. From an objective standpoint, you can't have a horror title be any longer than the Callisto Protocol, and that's due to the nature of human beings. Simply put, the more you expose someone to frightening situations, the more numb they become to them. And thankfully I haven't experienced horror fatigue whilst playing it despite its long runtime for a horror game. If you thought the rest of the game was impressive, you have seen nothing yet, because my god, does this game feature some of the best graphics available in the video game industry. The graphical fidelity showcased in the trailers were not misrepresenting the final product like many of us assumed. The game genuinely does just look that amazing. I mean, how couldn't it when when there is ray tracing on the eyes, from sweat noticeably pouring down your wildly high quality character model during gameplay, and magnificently detailed plus disgusting biophage models that YouTube's compression cannot do justice, to pinpoint and downright perfect atmospheres throughout the game. There is no way you could claim this was anything other than a masterpiece of horror ingenuity. The graphics certainly help not only the stupidly immersive gameplay but also the story. Now when it comes to the story, it is told to you in numerous ways: voice recordings, written pieces, holograms in clear reference to Doom 2016's opening scene, or through cutscenes, with the audio recordings and holograms serving as a means to deliver the player lore for the campaign. And it cannot be emphasized enough just how good the voice acting done by every actor / actress for the Callisto Protocol is. Every character with a large or small role delivers their lines eloquently, and I have no doubt the quality of the voice acting and facial animations was helped more than significantly by the 150 developers Sony assigned to help the team, because it is on par if not better than most PlayStation first party titles. I'd personally love to delve deeper into the story in this video, but I don't want to spoil anything since this review is going to be up very close, if not at launch. All you need to know as the viewer is that yes, the story is not lacking and the writers did an amazing job here as well. When it comes to the optimization, if you are on Xbox Series X or PS5, you will have a blast with this game and not run into many issues. If you are on PC or on last gen systems, don't bother. For last gen systems specifically, this is just a game that shouldn't have been considered for it. However, for PC, it is a combination of numerous issues which cause insane stuttering to such a degree you are sure to get a laugh whenever there's a jump scare that gets ruined instantly by frame time stuttering. And that's basically every single jump scare according to the Steam user reviews. If it wasn't for the poor choice of using Unreal Engine 4, DirectX 12 along with Denuvo, I don't think the stuttering would be nearly as bad. The fact there's Denuvo which automatically hinders performance when it comes to load times, which is the main thing causing stuttering in this game, poor implementation of DirectX 12 which is renowned for its frame time stuttering, and Unreal Engine 4 again renowned for frame time stuttering issues. What you have here on PC is basically the perfect combination of everything that's used to build the game being perfect to cause what is now known as stutter struggle. Not to mention the fact this is an AMD sponsored game where FSR is completely non-functional and actually hinders performance. Overall, if you are considering getting this game on PC, I'd say it's worth a shot because I have managed to get it mostly stable myself using DirectX 12 with maxed out ray tracing and mix of high and medium settings otherwise, and I have heard that using DirectX 11 in the settings instead of 12 does reduce the stutter significantly, although not completely. But if you can't get it to run well, simply use Steam's refund system because this is a great game that's been completely overshadowed by how insanely shitty the performance is. And do not even try to run this on the Steam Deck. In conclusion, my hopes and dreams of playing this on the go have been shattered, but outside of that non-issue, I honestly have nothing to complain about outside of the performance issues that I honestly think could be drastically reduced if the developers merely made the shader compilation happen outside of gameplay, since that's what's causing the issues. Thank you to the kind folks working at Striking Distance Studios for giving me early access to the game and the chance to be one of the first people playing this game in the entire world. It's an honor and a privilege to be in the position to experience a game this early, which is why I want to thank my subscribers most of all for ultimately making this possible at the end of the day. And with all of that out of the way, we have finally come to the end of my review for the Callisto Protocol, so I will see you all in the next video.